Hi everyone, my name's Christy. Welcome to my corner. It is early August, which means that according to all craft stores all across the United States, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but in the United States, it is planning for spooky season. That's what August is. I have decided to help with that planning by scouring the internet for free spooky season patterns to help you with your planning for spooky season planning. Does that make sense? So I have found over 50 patterns that you don't have to sign up for or join a Facebook group for, because I'm not a joiner. I get dozens and dozens and dozens of emails a day, so I don't want more emails. And I'm rarely on Facebook, so being in a Facebook group is not effective for me. I will miss everything. And so these are patterns, these are free patterns by lots of different designers, lots of different styles that you can just get for free. And I have tried my very best to go to the source or to like the designer page or a reputable source for them. And they are all listed down below, and they've been sort of organized by designer or designer group. But as I'm looking at myself here, I'm realizing that I am not dressed appropriately for planning for spooky season videos. So I'm going to go fix that. Hold on one second. That's better and much more in keeping with the planning for spooky season spirit. And I think I hear a little thunder happening, so I think I might get a thunderstorm, which will also add to the spooky mood. Let's talk about how this is going to work. I have a list, as I said, of over 50 free patterns that you don't have to sign up for anything for. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a picture up on the screen right here, and I'm going to talk a tiny bit about the pattern. And then I'm going to move on because we have a lot of patterns to get through today in this video, and I don't want it to be a million years long. I will put what is that called? Chapters down below of the different groups or patterns or designers. And I will list them in the description box down below in the order that I'm talking about them. So you should be able to find whatever patterns strike your fancy after you're done watching this video when you're sort of in your spooky season planning phase. Let's get started. Our first group is the Stitchers Collective. These are my people in the Stitchers Collective. For those of you who don't know, I am a co-moderator with Christy of Pixel Pixie Cross Stitch and Dara of World on a String by Dara, of a group called the Stitchers Collective. And there is an Instagram that you can follow and learn about all sorts of really cool designers. And if you are a designer and want to be part of a collective of other designers who are very supportive and offer advice and answer questions, I will put our Instagram down below, and you can message us and we can get you an invite into the Discord group. All right, so our first designer is Knitney Knits and Needlework, and the pattern is this adorable little spooky ghost with a pumpkin. Our next designer is Monstrous Designs, and there is this adorable witch pattern, and a second one by Monstrous Designs, a festive bat. Amanda DeLong on Ko-Fi or Coffee, depending on how you want to pronounce it, also has this Vaporwave Cemetery cross stitch freebie pattern. Fine Frog Stitching has 3 free patterns on their website, but only one of them is specifically spooky season, although I would argue that the second one, Bog Mug, could definitely work for spooky season, but Halloween Concoction is made for spooky season. And the final pattern from the Stitchers Collective is my own pattern, which is a freebie that you can find in my Google Drive, and that is Ghosts Were People Too. As an honorable mention, I wanted to show you Notorious Needles 3D Haunted House. It does not fit into my rules of something you don't have to sign up for, but it's so cute I decided to add it on as an honorable mention at the end of the Stitchers Collective section. Our second group of patterns is from DMC, because we sleep on DMC. Like we don't think about DMC as a pattern place, a place to get patterns, but they have all sorts of patterns. They have both embroidery and cross stitch patterns available for free on their website. And so I kind of scrolled through all their cross stitch patterns and came up with a whole bunch of, some of them were really cute Halloween or spooky season patterns. First we have Skeletal Cat. And while this isn't specifically Halloween, I mean, I do think it's spooky season, so I included it. And the first few are kind of skeletal floral situations, which to me screams spooky season. Next we have Wild Skull, which again, bones and flowers feel spooky season to me. Animal skull with little mushrooms coming out of it. Who doesn't love a little fungi in a skull? I suppose the animal probably doesn't like it, but the rest of us think it's pretty cool. And then we get into more cutesy spooky season rather than spooky season with this adorable scaredy cat club pattern with a cat and spider webs and all things Halloween. Along the same line, we have Ghoul Gang with some bony peace signs, and I kind of love it. Wicked Cute is a little ghosty going trick-or-treating, and this one, of course, is clearly made for spooky season, as it's called spooky season. I feel like in some cases, designers name their patterns the same way historians name time periods and or their books. I'm a historian, for those who don't know. One Cool Ghoul. Again, more cutesy spooky season rather than creepy spooky season, but we love a cutesy ghost. Which is good because our next pattern is Too Cute to Spook, which apparently is hard for me to say, which again leans to the cutesy rather than the creepy. For all you cat lovers out there, we have this black cat, which is filled with little motifs, little Halloween-y motifs inside the body. Back to creepy, we have a fairly realistic looking skull that is pretty full coverage and looks like a lot of stitches. But sometimes you just want to go with a classic. And finally from DMC, we're back to the bony peace sign with just the peace sign with a bony hand. So I just want to point out that DMC has patterns for all sorts of different holidays. I think that when it comes to holidays, they mostly have they have way more Christmas and winter stuff, but they have a lot of spring stuff, a lot of floral stuff, a lot of botanical stuff that's not holiday related. And I highly recommend you just go check out their other patterns because they're all free and they use DMC. So that's convenient. Next, I want to talk about Witchy Stitcher, who has quite a few freebies. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will kind of point out the ones that are appropriate for spooky season. First, we have Ghost Ritual Night Out, which is a bit of an occulty leaning pattern. Blood Moon, and it's such a good moon. You know, I love a celestial kind of a stitch, and this is a good moon. Pumpkin Spice, which is a disparaging pumpkin spice quote by Anthony Bourdain. All you pumpkin spice lovers, don't come at me because I did not write this. But pumpkin spice does seem to be in things it doesn't need to be in. Just throwing that out there. Welcome Campers, which is, of course, a classic slasher flick. Friday the 13th with Jason Voorhees. Witch, which is a very simple pattern, but I think really effective with the cauldron and the moon and the bubbling coming out of it. Sad Pumpkin. So stitch it and you'll be happy. Mini Samhain, which again is simple but effective for those of you who celebrate. Haunted Tiered Cake, which I really like. I think it's really cute actually. And I know it's not quite spooky season, but I do love a cake party. And I feel like during spooky season, this is the cake you want for your cake party, for your spooky season cake party. Lillian Herman Munster. Now I know that the Munsters are not necessarily spooky season and they're delightful, but they're also monsters. And last but certainly not least, and there are more on the website if you want to check them out, is Spooky Birthday Cupcakes. Because again, love a cake party. Spooky cake parties need spooky cupcakes. Our next website is Happiness is Cross Stitching, and there are 3 patterns from Happiness is Cross Stitching. So let's get started on those. First we have Boo, which is a little ghost scaring a spider, and it says Boo on it. The next one is more Boo. There's going to be a lot of Boo in this, lots of boos. This one's super cute. It's 2 mice and a spider. So it is definitely on the cutesy end of the spooky season spectrum. The final pattern from Happiness is Cross Stitching is another Boo. It is a cat holding a spider. I have one from the Spruce Crafts, which is a Happy Halloween pattern, which is essentially Happy Halloween with different motifs like pumpkins, candy, cats, an owl, you know, creatures of the night. Except for the candy, which is not a creature of the night. I have a couple more singles. Next is La Di Da, and the link I have will take you to their free site that has multiple different patterns, not all of which are Halloween. But there is, of course, the classic Smell My Feet, you know, Trick or Treat Smell My Feet, which is adorable, these witch shoes. These are not the only witch shoes you will see either in this list. I'm including a Prairie Schooler in here, which is the owl, just because owls are often connected to Halloween. Here is our Hoo Hoo Owl by the Prairie Schooler. Our next designer is an Italian designer, and I'm going to pronounce this in the French way, but that is not how this is supposed to be pronounced, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong. La Contesse est, I'm going to say it in French, et le point de Croix. She has a blog, and she offers free patterns pretty regularly, and so I went through like 10 years of her blog to find Halloween freebies for you all. And I found a good number, so that's really exciting. The first one is a cute little pumpkin in a cup with a boo. Our second one is Nevermore with pumpkins and a raven and a spider web. Next we have Boo to You, which is a bunch of pumpkins in a raised cake plate with a moon and spiders and a spider web. Next is an adorable little pumpkin witch. And this one is more primitive than a lot of the ones that we've seen. So most of the ones we've seen have been more modern almost, but I know some of you like them prim, and here we got a prim one. Next is Halloween with some fun accent motifs that fit with spooky season, like pumpkins and cats and spiders. I mentioned witch shoes, and here is another witch shoe, a chic witch. Boo to You with a couple more shoes. And finally, a monochrome Happy Halloween with a really spooky castle. I kind of like that castle, and I think I'm going to stitch it because I do love me a castle. It comes with the territory of being a medieval historian. I can't help it. Waxing Moon Designs has two really cute spooky season stitches. One is checkerboard pumpkin, and the other one is a little witch hat that says Best Witches. Unfortunately, I only have the patterns for these, so I am not going to show them, but they're super cute. And I do recommend that you check out the website that I link below because there are other holiday freebies as well that you might be interested in. Our next designer is Pinker and Punkin, who I'm sure all of you have heard of. They also have a blog and also post lots of freebies on their blog. I only went through, I think, 2 or 3 years of their blog. To get patterns, they post way more often, and I just did not have the time to go through years and years of their blog, but you can if you really like their style. The first pattern is a spooky ghost who is trick-or-treating with a little pumpkin basket and a little crook. Next, we have a house called Halloween Manor, and it looks like a quilt. I mean, it's really stunning, and this is free on their website, which is shocking to me. People are so generous with their time and their patterns. This Halloween jar of a cat on a pumpkin is adorably prim, and if you collect mason jars or you have other of their jar patterns, there were other jar patterns in the blogs, this is a great addition to your collection. This one's called Pumpkin Stew, and it is an adorable witch making pumpkin stew in her cauldron. What is not to love about this? The next one is the 3 Happy Jacks stamp, which looks like a stamp of 3 smiling jack-o'-lanterns. If you're looking for more pumpkins that are sort of quilty, this sampler is for you. It is primitive with the letters and 3 little quilty looking pumpkins. If you're a house and a raven stitcher, then this Pumpkin Flower Inn is for you. It has 2 ravens and an amazing building with little details, and that would look awesome in a variegated. Pumpkin Blossom Inn. I think I said Pumpkin Flower. It's Pumpkin Blossom Inn. Next from Pinker and Punkin is a Hocus Pocus witch, and it is tiny. It is a little tiny witch. That would be a really quick stitch. Next is Halloween Parade, which is a witch and a cat with a pumpkin and a bird and a moon and a quilting square, and all the prim things you could ever want in a spooky stitching. And our final single pattern is Eek Spider. Who doesn't love a spider? I mean, I guess a lot of people don't love spiders. There's literally a phobia about spiders. But for spooky season, spiders are essential. And here's a really simple one that you can put in all sorts of different motifs. So the next link that I'm posting is called Freebie Parade 2. There is a Parade 1, but those patterns are in this parade. And I'm just going to put a video here of me scrolling through it. Basically, you click on the links and it takes you to the blog post where these patterns exist and you can download them. I think some of them you can download them as a PDF. Some of them you have to right click and save them as an image. And that is Pinker and Punkin. In our Fat Quarter shop, there is a small Boo Ghost free pattern that you can stitch if you just want something really quick and simple. Tiny Modernist has an entire page of freebies, and there are, I believe, 3 spooky season themed freebies on there. First, there's the 2022 Halloween Cat freebie. There is the 2019 Witch's Brew pattern, which you'll see again, but I love this one. I think it's adorable. And the 2015 Halloween cross stitch pattern, which is a Halloween floating over a graveyard with pumpkins and a cat. You know, classic, simple Halloween motifs. And my last freebie link is to the Aurifill website, which is a thread manufacturer. And so they have some really big name designers with freebie patterns. First, we have Boo Ghost by Doreen Jones, which of course is immaculate. Her shading is ridiculous. 2 is this adorable spooky owl. 3 is the Witch's Brew by Tiny Modernist, but I've already shown you that. The 4th one is Spooktacular Halloween Heads by Stitch People, and it's classic movie monsters, but they're heads. If you want a more bright and cheerful spooky season stitching project, then I definitely recommend number 5, which is called Mini Halloween Sampler by Colleen Carrington. And it has cats and a cauldron, but in super bright and cheery colors. And I know some of you are neon goths and love that stuff. And finally, there is the Little Halloween Quaker, which is gorgeous. That is our 50 plus spooky season freebies. And now you can plan out your spooky season stitching and not have to break the bank. I want to end this video with a little self-promotion, if that's okay. If you're just interested in freebies, I totally understand, but I have this awesome witch pattern on my Etsy shop, which is linked down below. She is a woodcut from an 18th century witch trial. She was released last month. She is not free, but she's not that expensive, and I love her. And then I also want to talk about the Stitchy Goodness zine that is currently available on their website, which I am a part of, and it is witchcraft themed. And that is available until September 15th of 2024. And so you still have, as of this moment, about a month and a half to buy it. And there are 15 different designers and patterns in this zine for $30, which is a really, I mean, honestly, it's a steal. So if you're interested in witch spooky stitching, there are lots of paid options for you, and all the options I just talked about that were all free. I hope that this video inspired you to start your planning for spooky season stitching. And if you're not subscribed to my channel and are interested in seeing more of what I do, I hope you subscribe and stick around. Thanks so much for your time. Please take good care of yourselves and have a stitchy spooky season. Good one. Bye.